on this name thing. I don't know if that was an issue for you, Jannelle, but like I had names picked as a child, right?
Hello,
you know,
right.
like I had names, and then you get married, and this like becomes your reality, and they actually have an opinion on
Hello, my daughters struggle with this. I got a little girl. Her dream in life. I got two little girls. Nia, I always talk about Reina. Nia's the baby. Her dream in life is to be a mom. And she's doing what you said. She's like, so I'm going to live here and I'm going to have this many kids. And I got to tell her, like, dude, like, you're half of the equation. You got to
see. I was an only child, and my parents let me have everything I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I just assumed that marriage would be that way. Like, anything I wanted was, you know. But anyway, so I do have 4 boys, which I love. I did always dream of being a boy mom. I don't know why, because I am definitely a girly girl. But I have Micah. He's 12, going into 7th grade, so middle school for the first time next year. Judah is 9. He's my star pitcher in baseball right now.
Ooh.
And then Asher, Asher? He's something.
A handful.
He's cut from a different mold of our family, but we love him. Asher is 7. And then my baby is Gideon, and he is 4.
That's cool.
Yep.
Well, we're so glad to have Jamie here. We love the City Mission. Somebody has a question about City Mission, but before we go there, remember, brought to you by Scranton Roads Ministry, their marketing division, the promotional products they can provide for your church, youth ministries, business. They provide the swag that we have, and check this new one out. Provided by Scranton Road Promotional Marketing, and it is the 3rd edition. Yes, 3rd edition of the Brian and Jannelle mug, collector's mug. And again, Scranton Road. If you want awesome swag for your business and ministry, check them out. And it's Follow-Up Friday continuing. I want to say hello to my people, our people. Deborah, David. He says, I have dress shirts I don't wear. I can give to the missions. And somebody asked, I would love to donate some clothing to the mission. Can you give me the address?
Absolutely.
So what's the process? Are you still taking clothing?
We are taking donations at the mission right now. We are not taking anything right directly at Laura's home, which is our women's crisis center, because we don't have a warehouse there, and we're just trying to keep interactions minimal there. But our warehouse is open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and the address there is 5310 Carnegie Avenue, Cleveland, 44103. If those hours don't work for you, there's an overnight and weekend bin there as well.
If you want us to connect you and you didn't get that, just go to brianandjannelle.org and we'll make sure to connect you. We are partners of City Mission, love them. And so make sure to contact us and we'll help you. Hola, Evanesa Cordero, buenos días. Hi, Mike. He says,
that's
Jamie.
my pastor.
Oh, that's cool. From what church? Shout out to your church.
Ooh, Bedford Church of the Nazarene.
Hello. Hi, Pastor Mike. Eva, good morning. She's also wanting to donate. David, donating. You guys are awesome. Hello, Danella. Team Jannelle. What's up? And my girl, Theola. Good morning. I love you. Hello to those on YouTube. And Damaris, good morning. Follow-Up Friday. There's a thing I wanted to bring up. If you guys want to talk about anything, let me know, because it's follow-up. But it is a broken heart syndrome. And it was brought up a couple of days ago by the Cleveland Clinic. Broken heart syndrome. Like, it's for real. It's a diagnosis. Good morning, Linda. She says, I miss volunteering on Thursdays and seeing everyone. Love the work of City Mission.
Oh, hi, Miss Linda. We miss you, too. We're very slowly and cautiously bringing back volunteers, so.
Aww. Hi, Nathan. What's up? Damaris or Dimaris. Buenos días, mi amiga. Yeah, broken heart syndrome. And they're seeing more and more patients coming in with symptoms that look like a heart attack. And it's not a heart attack. And so it's connected to a lot of the anxiety and stress that people are feeling with the pandemic and all the changes, all the uncertainty. Who's feeling stressed and anxious? Hello. I'm not feeling anxious. I do feel exhaustion with the changes. Even with things opening up in May, we were cheering. Parks are open, restaurants are open, everything's awesome. And then we're like, my husband and I are confused because it's like, hold up, the parks are open, but then you hear about the cases increasing and masks you gotta wear. So he's just like, should we be going to parks? And so all of that back and forth is driving me nuts. How are you guys kind of navigating these changes?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it feels on again, off again, you know, kind of a roller coaster. I'll admit, I've really been nowhere still since I'm still mostly working from home. I just have kind of stayed that way. And since my husband's been going to work, he kind of volunteered as tribute for everything we need, has been doing most of the errands. But you know, it's a roller coaster of what should we be doing? What should we not be doing? You know, and really trying to protect our families, because when I do, I need my mama, I need my mother-in-law, and so I want my kids to have the least amount of exposure when I'm, you know, depending on them for any babysitting. So it's a lot.
Hello and welcome to those on YouTube. Make sure to comment. We engage with you in the conversation. It is a lot. There's the prevention part, and then there's the fear of, what if we get it? What if we get it? Because I'm sure you just don't want your mom to get it, period.
Right.
In spite of the part. And other people relating. Amora, good morning. Mike says, Pastor Mike says, thanks for the shout out. Love you, Jamie. Gracias por promover nuestra iglesia. Nos vemos muy pronto. Awesome. You're so talented. You're bilingual. He says, thank you for promoting our church. We'll see you very, very soon. Jannelle, my girl, you are awesome. She says, yes, broken heart syndrome is very, very real. I know we are sick about talking about COVID. I know. But it's this thing that everybody's feeling that I want us to just talk about. How do you guys feel? How are you navigating the masks? I mean, last Friday, a week from today, first it was a mandate across Cleveland. Now it's across like 14 counties, is it? 14 counties, including Summit, Lorain, and Cuyahoga County. Mandate. How are we going to deal with that? So we've stashed our car with masks. But then it's more complicated. You have sheriffs. You said you have a police in your family.
Neighbor.
A neighbor. And so can you share a little bit? I told you about what I've heard from the sheriff in Lorain. You said you've heard the same thing in terms of the tension with the mandate. It's not just, okay, make it a law.
Right. It's how are we going to follow up on this? How will they have the time to follow up with this? And, you know, is this something we want our police officers using their time and their efforts to be following up on, you know? And I, you know, for my family, for me, it's an anxious time. You already have people, I mean, we're scared of the pandemic, where we are as a society, everyone, there's high tensions, and now we've got this anxiety. I told you, Jannelle, because I haven't been many places, I get so nervous when I do go to a store. Am I going to break the rules? Do I know how to do it? And even yesterday when we added Summit, I live in Summit County. I said, oh my gosh, what does this mean about when Little League games and, you know, all these rules? I'm a rule follower, which most people would be surprised about because I love a good prank and being silly, but I don't like getting in trouble. And so I have a real fear of, you know, being caught or something. It probably tells you a little bit about my testimony. But anyway, you know, the anxiety that exists because we're trying to make sure we follow all these rules. And then there's this line of offending people who are offended by the masks or not wearing masks.
Or people offended by not wearing it. I went to Trader Joe's with my daughter, and the person in front of me, they got it lined. First of all, the line is outside, which is another question. What's winter time going to look like? But whatever. So the person, we're like 6 feet apart, and she turns around and was like, you need to stand back. And so it's what you're saying, where like, people are so tense. And you don't want to like create an issue. You don't want to scare people, but then you don't know when somebody's going to get aggressive with you. And it's creating all of this and more. It's creating this heartbreak syndrome. A lot of you are saying, yes, heartbreak syndrome. Broken heart syndrome, the Cleveland Clinic is talking about, which some of you are saying you've experienced with the loss of a loved one. Let me get to some of your comments. Latasha says, yes, I believe that broken heart syndrome. David said it's more aggravating than anything. Yeah, very aggravating, actually. It can be. And we'll get into some of that. Latasha says, when my 17-year-old son, God called home, my heart hurts so bad. I'm so sorry about that, Latasha. It is something many experience, even outside of the pandemic. And then crazy that Cleveland Clinic officially, and it's actually more than Cleveland Clinic, but we love Cleveland Clinic, so we'll mention them. They're saying it's actually a thing, and it's increasing right now because of the pandemic. Jannelle says, I'm an MS survivor and advocate. It's impacted both being a patient. Hospitals make me nervous. Also, all of my speaking events and advocate meetings haven't been canceled due to social distancing. Alex says he loves Jamie. Is that you?
It's a she, yes.
Oh, sorry.
It's
Sorry,
okay.
Alex. My middle name is Alex, so I should know it could be a she. Is she a friend?
She actually grew up in my youth group, and so now she's married and has a baby of her own, and like, it's the real deal.
Yeah.
So.
Deborah says the media has done a great job in creating fear. I think that is some of it. Some of us, including me, need to turn social media and the media off. Mike, oh yeah, that's your pastor. But part of the complexity is what you said. There are a lot of issues connected to this pandemic, and even though things look like they're back to normal with things opening, they're not. Now we got this mandate. Now we got schools. Like we talked about that earlier in the show. Different counties and districts dealing with the reopening of school differently. The way it's going to impact people differently. I have a heart for, like you do, people who are underprivileged. I was underprivileged when I was growing up. I know my parents couldn't handle having me on, like Shaker Heights is doing, 1 week on, 1 week off. There's no way my parents could do that. So I know it's impacting people in a real way. But at the same time, you got parents or grandparents who are home and they're sick or they're older and are afraid of sending their kids to school because then the kids could come back with COVID.
Right.
If you don't agree with none of the COVID thing, your life is still impacted because school's looking different. But all of this, I want to see the heart of it, like the way it's impacting people. I just spoke with my neighbor, and I was just asking her about how it's impacting her. And so there's that. And it helps me see, man, there are real people being affected. But it's so political. Like we're making it so political. Have you seen that in your circles?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
and
not
people
even just
are like angry.
Yeah, and to me that's scary and intimidating because I'm not a crazy opinionated person. I usually kind of I like gray area. I don't like. I'm a people pleaser. There it is. I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And so it is intimidating to me, you know, like I haven't posted anything about it, and you're right, you know, people have a judgment about if you wear a mask or if you forget your mask or you know, if you're out and about or you're not out and about. And so it's just so hard because there's so many different opinions, and those opinions have attached themselves, it feels like, to political parties, and that even makes the whole thing harder for me and makes me just want to kind of curl up, if I'm being honest. Like it's to me it's about protecting myself and my family. Like I just want to do what's right.
And somebody could hear you and say, but you don't need to protect yourself, you don't need a mask. And so that's where Nathan is agreeing. Yes, I agree, it has become very political. As believers, how are you navigating this? It's a real deal.
Right.
When you go to Walgreens, there are people there, and then you don't know who you're next to. I told you about my experience at Trader Joe's. In the news this week, a man's outburst at Costco in Florida was caught on video, and I watched the video, and this man, first of all, I don't care if you agree or disagree with masks, Costco has been doing like a rule about wearing your mask way before it became a law or a mandate. So if he's at Costco and he's a member, he should have had a mask on. But he's standing in line. The person behind him is an elderly person, and kind of mentioned to him about wear your mask and about the 6 feet. And this man turns around and went off on her and the person that was trying to kind of protect her. and started cussing up a storm. The video, of course, as always, went viral, seen by over 17 million people. He lost his job. And so how are you navigating this thing about it becoming political and knowing how to approach people? It's so sensitive and you can't escape it. We're not in those days anymore where you can say, you know what? What I do is I don't talk to people about religion and politics. Yeah. No, dude. Like, you could just be outside next to somebody and have an interaction like that. How do you navigate this? It could show up in your marriage. I had a big party that I was actually looking forward to tomorrow with my kids. We were very excited. Len's a little bit more anxious and nervous than I am about COVID. And so we're learning how to navigate that together as a couple. Even though I'm not as worried as he is, I may have to be, I'm just telling you, I'm not as nervous as he is. I had to kind of give way and say, if you're uncomfortable, I got no business even taking them, because then you'll be more uncomfortable with the kids coming back home. How are you doing it? Gary says, good morning. He's representing Team Brian. Are you vice president, president of Team Brian? We got to make sure he has representation, because I don't know if you've heard, he got 3 people in his team.
Oh, I love Brian.
A lot of people love Brian. Brian's awesome. Nathan says, Lori says, as a nurse, people do need to wear their masks in public places. Try to stand at least 6 feet apart, even with a mask. Mask is essential. Yes. Hand washing and or hand sanitizer is important when I'm out and about. I am careful. That is really good. And so as a nurse, you have the knowledge. How do you approach people when you're in public places that don't wear it or don't respect your 6 feet? Gary says, he's vice president of the team. Yeah, because so David is like, and he has a recruiter. She recruits people to the team. Oh, my goodness. First of all, I want to acknowledge Theola. She's one of my favorite people. I love her. And she's telling us a little bit more about herself. She says she's a widow of a minister. We were married just short of 51 years. Wow. Psalm 146 helped me so much. My doctor said that he kept an eye on me for 2 years because of the stress it has on an older person. That is so good. And as heartbreak syndrome is increasing because of COVID, whether you've lost someone or are stressed because of the pandemic, that's a great thing, Theola. Having someone checking up on you. Cleveland Clinic talked about discovering ways of like managing stress. Yeah. Do you have that? How do you work from home? That alone can be stress inducing. How do you manage stress? I'm an extreme extrovert, and I don't know if you remember at the very beginning of the pandemic, my heart was, oh my gosh, I have this need to make people happy, and that makes me happy. Yeah. And so we were doing these coronavirus family games, and it went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, where I was leading these online games, and we had like 200 people in this group that would engage in these games, and that was what I just felt the need to do that. Yeah. And that was managing my anxiety in a weird way. That's good. I will be honest, though, that I kind of had, I actually preached on Mother's Day weekend and realized what God was, because when I preach, it's usually God teaching me something, and then I just share it. Because that's the best preaching. That's really what it was. It's like, dude, I'm learning with you, so. Exactly. That's a good thing. God called me out on this week, so here you go. Like, you might as well learn. And so, really taught me that that was my need for control and controlling my anxiety in the situation. And so what God is teaching me now, and especially because there haven't been definitive decisions made in my school district yet, and I don't know what the future is. There's always a future at the mission, but when do I get to bring volunteers back? How does this affect my job? And I plan the parties, Jannelle, like the back to school bash and Christmas and all of these things. And what is it going to look like? And it's created all this still anxiety. And God is saying, come to me. I want to be in control. And so for me, again, it's been a very personal, God always is humbling and reteaching us lessons. And I can't control this. I can't control how many days my kids are going to go to school. Yeah. I can't control when I get to bring volunteers back. I can't control how great the parties are going to be. Yeah. And so that's just where I'm at. I'm struggling. I'll be honest. Yeah. when I find myself anxious or worried, I'm worried about either the past or the future. And in trusting God, first of all, understanding the reality. It's not even something you got to convince you. It's true that you are not in control.
It's true.
So it's almost embracing it and accepting it and letting go of the future. Even the fall, if you have kids in school, we don't know. They're changing things like by the day or the week.
Right.
And trusting God with just today. Where do you have me today? How can I be faithful today? For some of us, including Jamie and me, it's wearing your mask. It's making sure you're loving your neighbor by keeping a distance. You never know. I've seen some posts of people that are living with disabilities or with illnesses that I would never know, like if they're standing next to me in Walgreens.
Right.
To have them stressed because I don't want to wear a mask, even if I think there is no such thing out there, I don't want people stressed right now in the middle of a pandemic. So it's about being faithful where he has you today. Because I'm sure if I said, well, God, in the fall, he'll be like, don't worry about the fall.
Right.
Today.
Yeah.
You were going to say something?
I just wanted to say, you know, shout out to my middle son, Judah. He just, since I always have felt like he just has the best heart, the most compassionate heart. And so last night we're at dinner and we're rushing because we're getting ready for a baseball game, and, you know, it just, my house, like it's always chaos. Yeah. And so I overheard Judah explaining to Micah, his older brother, what the purpose of masks was. And so I just kind of listened and through all the hustle and bustle, and I could hear Judah saying, it's not about you keeping you safe, it's about keeping other people safe. And that's what we're supposed to do. And Micah was like, no, it's about keeping me safe. And they went back and forth, and I just thought it was interesting how much they're hearing and how much they're understanding. But like this heart already, like, it's not about me. It's not about me.
It's not about you.
It's about the people that we're around, and we don't know what's lurking, you know, and we don't know about their anxiety. We don't know about their health issues. It's none of our business. It's not about me. And I just loved it.
Well, and I love that you're saying it's not about me. Deborah says she's a nurse too, and she actually thinks we're being like sheep, that we're letting people kind of stress us out when we shouldn't. She says to all, especially those in the medical field, no definitive proof that wearing a mask is effective. We're all acting like sheep, herd mentality. There will be 2 definite views on this. Check out the OSHA info, etc. And so I agree. I hear differing views, but like you said, first it's a mandate. I'm a believer. You know, I'm going to
follow the rules.
I agree, Deborah. There are different views, but I don't want mom and pop businesses shut down because of whatever it's happening. It's a mandate, so I'm going to do it. I don't want mom and pop businesses getting fines. It's like a hefty fine. My parents owned a restaurant. Or being stressed because I'm telling them, well, no, I'm going to be here and I'm not going to wear a mask. Just put it on. I get it, Deborah. I know there's disagreements. Sue says we're moving relatives today, and it is hot. It sure is. Low 90s. Hot. Oh, my goodness. So I want to acknowledge the Team Brian people. Number one, Brian's is on vacation. He'll be back on Monday. And I'm being a good friend, and I'm going to acknowledge y'all. Mark says, good morning. Being super cautious may seem extreme until you end up in the ICU. Amen. And then he says, what is this Team Brian? Are there tryouts? Number one, have you been on overtime, Mark? This is your first time? Super cool. Thank you for your call. It started a great discussion. And then the vice president of Team Brian says, hey, you got to take that up with Brian, the CEO. That is awesome.
I think tryouts is a great idea.
What would that look like?
I don't know, but I think it could be really entertaining.
Yeah. Bruce says, it's important to keep in mind people that are personally affected by COVID. Bruce says a good friend of mine's son passed away Tuesday due to COVID-19, and it was very sad and scary. But at the same time, some people in my circle say they don't know if it's real, and not because of all the controversy and conspiracy theories, and even because of what we see on the news. And I know it gets political and all of that, but I've heard of very tragic stories even here in Cleveland. And so when you feel like, well, it's not real or whatever, just keep these people in mind, many of whom are in our listening family. Like Angie. Angie says, my best friend's husband has passed away from COVID-19. Oh my goodness, so sad. She said she never knew that she would never see him again when she dropped him off at the emergency room. Wow, Angie. I find myself now being both afraid and frustrated. When if it hits close to home, you look at the mask differently. So true, Angie. Wow, that's so sad. And Latasha talking to Mike about his loss. Let me see. Angie says it starts at 6 p.m. responding to Mike. What starts tonight? Guys, what are you talking about? If you see it, let me know. Okay, Mike says, I heard Summit County is requiring masks. Can anyone verify?
Yes.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh,
so
it starts at
tonight
at
It does
6.
start tonight at 6.
Oh, thank you. Summit County, I know many of you are in Summit County. So thank you for
good
sharing
job.
that, Mike. Yeah, Mike, you're going to have to get a mask. Lori says, Deborah, I'm a nurse also. The news media doesn't help. People just need to be careful with precautions. Yeah, that's a good point. Gary says, great, Jannelle, about keeping your distance with or without a mask with elderly and disabled ones. And as we talk about people who are sick and disabled, let's remember, some of these people you can't tell.
Right.
You cannot tell. Like, there is somebody in my circle that passed away. She's 25. And thank God she was pregnant and her baby is alive. They had to do a C-section. But she had asthma. I wouldn't have known. And so she looks young. I would have been like, oh, I'm good. I don't have to wear a mask.
Right.
So, yeah, it's very important. And it's a mandate. So believers should respect the mandate. And so as we talk about even processing, our conversation is more than about masks. It's about processing the stress. Cleveland Clinic talked about heartbreak syndrome, broken heart syndrome, and how many people are anxious and frustrated and stressed out with everything. So just be mindful of processing your stress, whether it's exercise or making sure you vent with your family and processing stress in that way. Because whether or not you wear a mask or anything like that, there's just a lot of uncertainty and a lot of changes. Deborah says she posted a link. Mike says he saw and thank you. Remember, the conversation always continues here on Facebook and on YouTube. And so make sure you go back. I love to go back and read your comments. We learn from each other, and just making sure as believers, let's not make these things political. We should go to the Bible first. The Bible doesn't talk about masks, but it talks about loving your neighbor. It talks about being patient and loving and self-sacrificing. So the weekend starts. Subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and follow us. And make sure to check out Scranton Road Ministries right here, providing our swag and the 3rd edition of the Collector's Mug for Bride and Jannelle. Scranton Road Promotional Marketing. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
You were a joy. Thank you. Have a good weekend, y'all.
Bye.